So, hello class. So, for continuation ng discussion natin, sa 16 is about the consumer equilibrium point using the derivative. So, when we say consumer equilibrium point, it's the optimal consumption or the utility maximization level of good X and good Y given the consumer preference representing the indifference curve and the budget constraint information. So, ibig sabihin, yung consumer equilibrium point, that is the optimal or best consumption na kayang ibigay ni consumer just to realize the maximum utility or satisfaction sa goods or products na ibinebenta natin. Considering yung consumer preference kung saan naka-state diyan kung ano ba yung preferred niya at kung ano ba yung kaya ng budget niya, which is the budget constraint information. Okay? So, consumer equilibrium point, ang sinasagot niya is to attain the maximum utility or satisfaction, yung pinaka-max na kaya nilang i-attain, how many of units of good X and good Y should a consumer buy given the income and the price of the goods. So, ibig sabihin, present yung income or kinoconsider natin yung pinaka-income or yung pinaka-budget na meron tayo at yung presyo ng goods, ilan yung pinakakaya mong bilhin na good X and good Y para masabi mo na na-maximize or na-maximize mo yung satisfaction or utility na gusto mong ma-receive. Okay? So, yun ang sinasagot ni consumer equilibrium point. So, given this graph, okay, so makikita mo dyan na yung E will represent to consumer equilibrium point, okay? So, that is the indifference or indifference curve 2, okay? So, sabi natin last discussion natin is the farthest difference curve into the origin is mas mataas yung satisfaction na naibibigay niya. Then therefore, yung indifference curve 2 ay 3, yung pinaka-highest satisfaction na ibibigay niya. So sir, bakit hindi yun? Kasi nga, di ba, ang kinukuha mo, maximum utility or satisfaction. Okay? So ibig sabihin sir, yung age or yung indifference curve 3, dapat yung pinaka-maximum, okay? Yes, you are correct. If hindi mo kino-consider yung income or yung budget na meron ka. Okay? So, if kino-consider mo yung pinaka-budget mo or the budget line, ito yan, yung B, yung A and B, that is your budget line, makikita mo ang age is beyond to your budget line. So, ibig sabihin is mas malaki yung cost na kailangan mo just to acquire or to acquire that package or that package of good X and good Y, then therefore hindi mo naman siya afford kasi ang budget mo is eto lang, sobra. So even though na mas malaki yung satisfaction na maibibigay ni package or ni indifference curve 3 is hindi naman siya applicable or wala ka namang capacity or hindi ka naman capable na mabili yung ma-acquire yung pinaka-package na meron si Indifference Curve 3. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ang pinaka-ano pa rin is si Curve 2, which is equal to your budget. Ibig sabihin is within your budget. So, affordable siya. So, that is your highest or maximum utility na kaya mo i-acquire. Okay? Considering the income and the price of the goods. Okay? So, this means that the consumer satisfaction in difference curve 2 is within the budget or the income. So, that's why bakit na siya yung consumer equilibrium point or the maximum utility or satisfaction kasi nga within siya sa budget mo. Okay? Unlike dito na unlike kay H or si indifference curve 3 na para siyang um, imaginary or parang as if yun yung desire mo, pero hindi naman yun within sa pinaka-budget mo. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, i-X mo siya. Kasi even though na gustong-gusto mo siya, hindi mo siya makukuha kasi nga, beyond siya o sobra siya sa budget mo. So, hindi mo siya afford. Okay? So, sir, tanong ko lang po, is it possible po ba na makuha natin yung consumer equilibrium point nang hindi tayo nag-grab? The answer is yes, using the derivative. So, using the derivative to compute the consumer equilibrium point given the price of goods and income of the consumer. So, actually, as long as meron tayo at alam natin yung pinaka-formula, hindi tayo maliligaw dito as long as alam mo din kung paano gamitin yung formula. So ano ba yung formula sa pag kuha ng derivative? So if y is equal to ax to the n power, or where yung a is the coefficient, x is the variable, and n is the exponent. So, sir, paano ba siya nagwo-work or paano ba nagwo-work yung formula ni derivative? So, ganito siya nagwo-work. The derivative y with respect to x is equal to y is equal to n, which is the exponent, times mo times mo sa coefficient, which is a, i-multiply mo kay x or the variable, raised to the exponent minus 1. So, ito yung pinaka formula na gagamitin natin pag pinakukuha yung derivative. Okay? So, ayan na, fix yung minus 1 na to. Okay? Tapos yung n is ikokopya mo lang dito. Okay? So, magbigay tayo ng example. Let's say if y is equal to 4x cubed or to the third power. Okay? So, pinakukuha yung derivatives. Ang naging answer niya is 12x squared. So, paano ba siya na-compute? Simply, ayan, gamitin mo lang yung formula natin. Kung saan n is, ayan, to the third power, di ba? I cube. Ayan. So, 3 times mo sa um, the variable, which is 4. X, ano ulit yung exponent mo? That is 3. Then, yung fix, yung y, ay yung 1. So, minus 1. So, isimplify mo lang. 3 times 4, that is 12. X squared kasi 3 minus 1. Kaya, eto na yung pinaka-simplified derivatives na nakukuha natin. Okay? So, another example is ito. Kung saan si y is equal to 4x cubed or to the third power plus 2x plus 4. Kung saan nakukuha nating derivative is 12x squared plus 2. So, ngayon, paano natin siya na-compute? Sundan mo ulit to kung saan, ayan. So, 4x cube or the third power, ang gawin mo lang is yung exponent, doon ka magsimula, which is yung 3. So, 3 times mo ngayon sa variable, which is 4. Then, x, coefficient pala yung 4. Coefficient is 4. Then, x is the variable. Then, the exponent is 3. Then, yung fixed na minus 1. Okay, ayan. So, ngayon, punta na tayo dito sa 2x. So, alam naman natin, pag ganito yung itsura, ayan, itsura, it implies that the exponent is 1. Okay? So, may imaginary 1 tayo dito. So, hindi lang natin siya nilalagay, pero may 1 dyan. So, therefore, kung may 1 dyan, 1 yung exponent natin, i-times mo ngayon sa coefficient, which is 2, which is the variable is x. So, yung pinaka-exponent again natin is 1. Pag ganito ang itsura, ayan lang yung term, is 1 yung exponent natin. May imaginary 1 dito. Okay? So, 1 minus 1, then therefore, 0 to. Okay. So, ayan. So, ito yung pinaka-equation ngayon nakuha natin. The next one is 4. So, if the derivative of any number is equal to 0. Once na any number, ibig sabihin walang kasamang variable, ang pinaka-derivative niya daw is equal to 0. Okay, kaya yung 4 na yan is naging 0 yung pinaka-derivative niya. Okay? So ngayon, isimplify na natin yung nakuha nating equation. So 3 times 4 is equal to 12. tapos x, so 3 minus 1, so 2. Kaya nakuha natin is 12x squared. Okay? Plus 2x 0. Kasi 1 times 2 is equal to 2. Then x 1 minus 1 is simply 0. And again, ayan. So any number raised to 0 is equal to 1. So any number raised to 0 is equal to 1. So ibig sabihin 2 times 1, that is 2. Okay? So ibig sabihin, eto na, kaya ito yung naging sagot. Kasi nga, pag ang 0 daw, yung pinaka-exponent mo or raised to 0, then therefore, equals sa 1 siya. 1 to. So 2 times mo sa 1, that is simply 2. Okay? So yun lang naman, ganun lang naman nagwo-work yung derivatives. Again as long as alam mo yung pinaka-formula natin is hindi ka maliligaw. Siyempre, dapat alam mo din kung paano siya nagwo-work. Okay? So ngayon, magbigay tayo ng illustration or comprehensive illustration. So given na meron tayong dalawang goods, which is the good X and the good Y, kung saan ang presyo daw ni X is 8 at ang presyo naman ni good Y is 4. Okay? So the problems ang kailangan nating computin or alamin is determine the budget equation. So again, ano ba ang formula ni budget equation? It's simply the price ni X plus the price of the good Y is equal to M or the income. Okay? So, ayan, i-ano mo lang siya. Ano ba yung presyo ni X? That is 8. This, ibig sabihin, AX plus 4Y is equal to M. So, kaya naging ganito yung budget equation natin. Pero sir, saan po nakuha yung 40? So yung 40 na yan is nakuha sa letter B. Okay? So if wala yung B, M lang yung isulat mo dito since meron sa B kung saan daw given that the income is 40. Okay? So dun siya siguro kinuha. So next is determine the number of maximum unit of X and Y spent given that the income is 40. So ganun pa rin, gamitin mo lang yung pinaka-budget equation mo maximum ibig sabihin kung kukunin mo si x, i-zero mo to. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, 8x is equal to 40. So, para makuha mo yung x, i-divide mo siya sa 8. Okay? So, if kukunin mo yung x, okay, i-zero mo to. Okay? So, ang mangyayari is simply 40 divide 8. So, 40 divide 8 or yung pinaka-shortcut nga natin is the income over sa price ni x. Ano ba yung income? 40. At ano ba yung price ni X? That is 8. So 40 divide 8 is equal 5 units. Okay? So, ganun din, ang gagawin natin pag ang kinocompute natin is the maximum unit ni good Y. Okay? So, ang gagawin mo lang natin kung Y ang kinocompute mo, ito yung zero mo. So, therefore, ang gawin mo is 40 the income over 4. Or simply the income over sa price ni Y. That is 40 over 4. So, then therefore, the maximum of Y is equal to 10 units. So, that's the answer actually. Saan ulit siya ginagamit? Bakit natin kinocompute yung maximum units? Ginagamit natin yan sa pag-graph, especially sa budget line. Okay? So kasi yan na yung magiging x-intercept and the y-intercept. Yung pinaka data na gagamitin mo sa guhit ng budget line mo sa graph. Okay? So next is ito na. Ito na yung compute natin, the consumer equilibrium point or the CEP. So, medyo mahaba to. Okay, so may 5 siyang sub-process kung saan first, express the budget equation in terms of X or in terms of Y. So again, sabi dito is or. So, pwede ka na lang mamili ng gagamitin mo. Is it kay X or si Y? So, but for the sake of discussion, compute natin parehas. Okay? So, okay, ang budget equation natin is 8x plus 4y is equal to 40. Kung gusto mong kunin si x, then definitely i-transfer mo yung 4y sa kabilang side. If i-transfer mo to, magiging negative siya. So that is the rules under algebra, di ba? So aware naman kayo doon. So pag itinransfer mo siya, transpose mo siya sa other side, then definitely yung sign niya is magbabago. So kung positive siya, magiging negative. Ayan. So, syempre, if gusto mong kunin yung x lang, anong dapat mong gawin? Tanggalin mo yung 8. Para matanggal mo yung 8, is i-divide mo yung both sides sa 8. So, ibig sabihin, 8 divide mo sa 8, that is 1. So, 40 divide mo sa 8, and 4 is divide mo sa 8. So, 40 divide 8 is 5, and 4y divide mo sa 8 is negative 0.5 or 50% y. Okay? So, ganun din, ipang kukunin mo is si y. Okay? I-transpose mo lang yung 8 or ilipat mo lang sa other side yung 8x kung saan mababago yung sign niya kasi inilipat mo sa kabilang side, and that is rules under algebra. Okay? So, para mawala or para makuha mo yung y, so kailangan i-divide mo sa 4 yung both side. Kaya pag i-divide mo to sa 4, magiging understood 1 na siya. So again, pag 1 kasi hindi natin nilalagay as if 1 na yan, may kasamang 1 na yan. Okay? So ito, i-simplify mo lang. 40 divide 4, that is 10. And 8 divide negative 8x, divide mo sa 4, then negative 0.05x. Okay? So, okay. So, ayan. So, next step daw is form the utility function kung saan yung utility is equal to x, y, or x times mo sa y. Okay? So, kung saan yung gagamitin nga nating value is yung na-compute natin dito. So, again, sinabi dito, get the value of x or y. So, ngayon, mamimili ka lang kung ano yung gagamitin mo sa kanya para hindi ka maging time consuming. Okay? So let's say ang kinuha natin is yung term ni x. Okay? So ayan. So if si x yung kinuha natin, then yung magiging pinaka-solution natin is yung nakuha natin dito. Okay? Yung value ni x or the equation ni x, which is ito. So, i-ano mo lang yan. So, 5 minus 0.5y. So, yan. Time mismo sa y. Kasi as if ito yung x or term ni x. Diba? So, ngayon is i-distribute mo lang yung y dyan. So, kaya ang magiging sagot is 5y minus 0.5y squared. Okay? So that is the utility function. So after natin makuha yung utility function, ang kukunin na natin is yung derivative ng utility function. So paano ba yan? So ayan. So ito yung utility function. So alam naman natin kung ano yung pinaka-formula using formula sa pagkuha ng derivative. So yan yung i-discuss natin. So paano ulit yan? So mag-start tayo sa 5y. Okay. So, ito yung utility function. So, kunin na natin yung derivative na yan. So, mag-start tayo sa 5y. So, again, pag 5y, alam natin ang exponent niya is 1. So, yung 1, ayan, exponent times mo lang sa 5, the coefficient, then the variable, then x, the exponent is 1 again, minus mo lang siya sa 1. So, kung isi-simplify mo, that is 1 times 5, that is 5, then y, then 1 minus 1, that is 0. Okay? Okay, and 0. So again, pag daw ang exponent mo is 0, then that is equal to 1. Okay? Kaya naging susunod dito is 5 times 1, that is equal to 5. Kaya naging 5 yung derivatives natin dito. Ngayon, ito naman ang kukunin naman natin yung derivatives na to. Okay, so paano yan? Again, ano yung exponent niya? That is 2. So 2 times mo sa coefficient, that is 50%, okay, 0.5. Then y, then raised to the coefficient niya is 2, then minus 1. So, again, paano yung gagawin Sorry negative 0.5 to Di ako na. So, 2 minus, time mismo sa 0.5, that is negative 1. Again negative 50 to Kasi negative yan. Ayan. So, negative 1 times mo sa 2, then definitely the answer is negative 1. Okay, so y, so 2 minus 1, that is 1, or so y raised to 1. Okay. So it's simply y. Kasi 'di ba? Pag nga 1 is as if imaginary lang 'yan. So hindi mo na kailangang isulat. So kaya y lang. So again, kaya naging 5 minus y is eto yung naging reason. So kinuha lang natin yung derivatives ng pinaka-equation na gawa natin. Okay? So next is equate to 0 to determine the x or y. So ibig sabihin, if this is the derivative, para daw natin makuha yung pinaka-value ni y, is equate mo sa 0. So ibig sabihin, ang magiging itsura niya is 5 minus y is equal to 0. Okay? So, para makuha mo yung value ng y, okay, ta-transfer mo lang siya sa kabilang side kung saan magiging negative negative na yung sign niya, so negative 5. Tapos ngayon is para siyempre mawala yung negative na to, i-over mo siya sa negative 1. Okay? So negative 1. Kaya naging positive 1, positive 5 to kasi negative 5 overs divide mo sa negative 1, that is positive 5 ang answer. Okay? Kasi nga pag magkamukha ang sign, pag divide yon or multiplication, then the sign will be positive. Pag naman magkaiba yung sign niya, magiging negative naman. So, algebra ulit yon. Okay? So, yun nga. Pag nakuha mo to, yung pinaka-derivative mo, yung derivative of the utility function is ngayon is kunin mo yung value ni y kung saan para makuha siya is equal mo siya sa 0. Okay? So, isimplify mo lang then makukuha mo yung 5. Okay? So, next is substitute the value obtained in 3.4 sa budget equation natin. Again, ano yung budget equation natin? Ito yung budget equation natin. So, let's say x is equal to 5 minus of 0.5y. Again, ang nakuha nating value ni y is 5. Then therefore is ano mo lang yan, substitute mo. So 5 times mo sa 0.5, the answer is 2.5. So 5 minus mo sa 2.5, the answer is 2.5. So x is equal to 2.5. Then therefore, the consumer equilibrium point is equal to 2.5 as to good x and 5 as to good y. Okay? So ibig sabihin 2.5 units ni x yung maximum na pwedeng bilhin ni consumer at 5 units naman sa good y. Okay? Considering kung magkano yung pinaka-budget na meron sila or the income at yung presyo ng goods sa market. Okay? So ngayon, if ni-require tayo na i-graph yung nakuha natin, ganito yung magiging itsura niya. Again, this is the budget line. Paano siya nakuha? Nakuha natin siya doon sa si x-intercept niya is equal to 5. Ayan, x-intercept, and the y-intercept naman is 10. Okay? So yun yung pinaka-maximum unit na afford nila given the amount of income or budget na meron sila. So that is the budget line. Okay? So ngayon is nakuha nga natin na yung consumer equilibrium point is equal to 2.5 kay x. Ayan, 2.5 and 5 naman kay y. So ibig sabihin, ito yung pinaka-equilibrium or the consumer equilibrium point. Okay? So therefore, diyan din babangga or diyan magmi-meet or didikit yung equilibrium curve natin. Okay? I'm sorry, indifference curve natin. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung point kung saan nakuha natin yung nasatisfied tayo. Ito yung package kung saan nasatisfied tayo at within siya sa pinaka-budget or income na meron tayo at kino-consider din natin yung pinaka-price ni goods. Okay? So for interpretation, the utility is maximized, okay, or the satisfaction is maximized if the consumer spend 2.5 of the good X and 5 units of good Y. Okay, given his income is 40 and the price of X is 8 and the good Y is 4. Okay? So ibig sabihin, kinonsider pa rin natin yung income at yung presyo para sa pag-compute ng consumer equilibrium point. Okay? Or sa pagkuha ng maximize satisfaction ni consumer. Okay? And that's all for SAS 16. Okay? So thank you and good night.